Have you lost your job? Have you lost a loved one? Are you exhausted caring for your parents, for your kids? Well, you can find immediate relief when you read Sheila Mack's new #1 bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. It contains the Boots formula to move from rock bottom back into action in any situation, especially right now. So if life has knocked you down, pick yourself up with Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Get your copy at www.sheilamack.com today.
Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio, Mondays at 1 and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific Time. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila. Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio, Mondays at 1 and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific Time. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and we're here today with special guest Anthony Sparks. He is a special speaker, content creator, and certified life coach who has impacted thousands of people around the globe. As a speaker, he's presented at over 300 conferences, retreats, worship services, graduations, workshops, and seminars. As a content creator, he's written and published 4 books. #Better, 7 Keys to Living a Life of Progression, Not Perfection, Relation Tips, Confessions of a Dreamer, and Help, I'm Struggling with My Purpose. He's also the creator and host of the Crock Pod Conversations podcast. Anthony is a native of Birmingham, Alabama, and is a proud member of the A-Team with his wife, Ashley, and sons Adam, 8, and Ashton, 3. He's a man of faith, family, and fun who believes that his purpose is to help others live a life of purpose on purpose. All right. Welcome to the show, Anthony.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity. I look forward to this conversation.
All right. So my podcast and show is based on my new book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And this year, it seems we have had every situation hit us globally, locally. And so I'd love to start out, maybe if you have a story you could share with the audience of a time that you or yourself in your personal life or in your business hit a tough time and how you got back on track.
Wow. Well, I've got, I think, the perfect story. November 2017, as a matter of fact, almost exactly 3 years ago, I found myself suddenly unemployed because I got just bluntly blindsided by a firing. I was terminated from a job that I was doing, and by all accounts was doing well. Just office politics, some other things came up. I guess pissed off the right people on the wrong day, and next thing you know, I got called in at the end of the day, and I was out of a job, and out of a job. Had just bought a new home. My wife and I, we just welcomed our youngest son to the family. He was only a few months old, and I literally had no idea what I was going to do. And so, but fortunately, I had been for the last, that was 2017. And since about 2014, I had been building on the side my business. And so it was always a desire, it was always a wish, a dream of mine to go full time with it. Didn't quite know how that would happen because I was always trying to make the smooth transition. Once the side job or side hustle income, I guess, exceeded the main job income, it was like, okay, yeah, it's obvious. Let me go ahead and do this. But I was kind of pushed out of the nest, so to speak, with that job situation. And so because I had been building on the side, it took me a couple of months, but I finally just said, you know what? Now might be the time to take this thing full time and see what we can do with it. And 3 years later, here we are. The rest is history, as they say.
Wow. That is something that's happened to a lot of us this year, is that we have been pushed out of our comfort zone. So if you're listening in, it is never too early or too late to start that side business.
That's right.
You never know when we're going to need it. And it is very helpful to have multiple streams of income, if at all possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Totally agree.
So I'd love to hear more about what you're speaking about on your speaking tours, and maybe some of your books.
Sure. Yeah. Speaking, it's an absolute passion of mine. I've been doing it now for solidly for about 10 to 15 years. And like I said, it's just I've loved it from day one, and didn't quite know that I'd be able to make it a career and actually generate income and a livelihood from it. But thank God I have. But whether it's conferences, seminars, workshops, etc., I touch on a myriad of topics. I do a lot of corporate events. Like I help with leadership development. I do a lot of personal development work as well. Just really helping people kind of figure out work-life balance, helping leaders hone their skills, hone their those leadership soft skills that really help them become more in tune and attuned to who they lead. Which is always crucial. And then also I help with millennial engagement, do that as well. And then outside of the corporate arena, I do a lot of, I guess, inspirational / motivational events, whether it be graduations, worship services, retreats, just things to kind of just get the crowd going, get people feeling like they can achieve and they can finally kind of step off the porch, step out of the boat, and walk on water and do what it is that they've been dreaming to do. And so just a myriad of things that I hit depending on the event, the occasion, and the crowd. When it comes to the books, like you said, I've written and published 3 physically, and then I also released an ebook earlier this summer. And all of those touch on a wide variety of topics. My first one, #better, was really written at a time when perfectionism was at an all-time high. People were so gung-ho on being perfectionist. And I just kind of came to the conclusion that, you know what, I'm never going to be perfect. And so thinking that I can be, or I will be, not only is that arrogant, but also if that is possible, then if I can become perfect in an area, what does that, technically that says I have nowhere else to grow from there. And so I wrote that book to just say, let's stop focusing on perfection and focus on progression. Focus every day on doing small things to just simply get better day by day. And I think if we do that, then we'll achieve what I think is a quote unquote better life. I wrote relation tips, just as it sounds. It's relationship tips or advice and wisdom for those who are who have their heart to consider, who are either in love or looking for love. I wrote that book for them. And then my third book was Confessions of a Dreamer, again talking to you about that experience I went through with my job in 2017, Confessions of a Dreamer. It's funny because it came out right before, the month before I actually got terminated.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea, of course. And the book came out, and it kind of was front and center because here I am talking about how to overcome obstacles as you're still dreaming and trying to pursue that dream. And lo and behold, I was faced with my own. And so I wrote that book to help others kind of navigate the dreamscape. And then my last one, Help, I'm Struggling with My Purpose, was just kind of written for that purpose, to help people understand what their purpose is, how to achieve it, how to operate in it, how to get unstuck in it if you have identified it, and what you can do to, as you said, generate an extra stream of income from it. So that's the books, that's the speaking, all kind of in a nutshell.
Oh, that's wonderful. And what I have found is that sometimes when we hit a rock bottom, it is the best place to rebuild our life on our terms.
Sure.
So for me, same thing as you, 2017 was a really rough year. You got fired. I had a fire that I lost my home, my car, and my cat all in a week.
Wow.
And that was the beginning of me writing the book, because I got back on track within a month, and I went from living in a home in Ventura to get invited to work and live in Beverly Hills, which was kind of cool because I never even fathomed I'd be able to go live in Beverly Hills. So I was like,
right.
Oh, the universe, God sent me somewhere even better.
Yeah, that's right.
I had to be willing to do the work. And I thought, oh my gosh, there's people that feel so alone, and they need resources and help to get back on track. So I created a system. I also have lots of resources. And then the other thing I wanted to share with the audience listening in, I don't know, this year more than ever, people need resources they never thought they'd ever need.
Absolutely.
And so there is the 211. I don't know if you've heard of it. Have you heard of 211?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're one of the few. So it's about 60% do not know anything about 211. They've never had to use it. And this year, it's time to use that. So it's 211, and you put in your state or province. It's in the United States and in Canada. And you're able to find resources depending on where you live, mental health services, getting food on the table, help with rental assistance, actual help with getting a new job if you need that. And so this is really important to share for people that are, get the books, get the resources, but also you might need something immediately. And even if you don't need it, keep that 211 in mind for a friend or loved one. Maybe if you work somewhere, see if you can post that information on the wall. People don't want to talk about what's going on at home, but sometimes there's a lot going on, especially this year.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great information. Yep.
So I would love to learn more about what advice you would give to the listeners who are now struggling with the work-life balance, trying to find a new purpose through this interesting year.
Wow, that's a great question. And there are so many different places I can go with that. But I think the biggest thing I would say is don't put too much pressure on yourself. Right now, we're in this time where, and I actually did an episode on my podcast a few weeks ago where I think that was just the name of it. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, because we're in this time where the pandemic hit, and I think immediately there was shock. But then as we kind of got settled into it, there was this belief that, oh my gosh, we're going to be able to accomplish so many things that we put on the back burner. We're going to write that book. We're going to start that business. We're going to, get this second and third and fourth stream of income going. And so I think there was just this huge rally around, we can now move these back things to the forefront and really make some things happen. But I think what we forgot, or what we tend to forget, is that for a lot of us, we find our inspiration, our creativity, our connection in interacting with the landscape, with other people, with the community and environments around us. And so as we become more siloed and quote unquote quarantined, we miss some of those creative drivers. And so what ends up happening is what you thought was going to happen, which was just going to be copious amounts of productivity, you realize you've probably done about 5 or 10% of what you thought you would be able to do. And then when that happens, you begin to feel bad. You start to feel like you're a failure. You start to feel like you don't quite measure up and muster up to what everybody else is doing. Well, let me tell you all a secret. Everybody out here is struggling. All right. Period. Whether you're the most successful or the least, everybody is juggling something right now that's really, really kind of got them on their heels. And so whether or not they want to admit it, that's a whole nother issue. But the fact is, all of us are struggling with something. For the person who has all the money in the world, maybe what I'm enjoying time with my family, but the person who has all the money in the world may be like, you know what, I'm having too much family time. I don't like that. You know, and so you just never know. But the fact is, I just want all of us, hopefully, if you're listening to this, I just want to tell you, don't put so much pressure on yourself. This is a crazy situation, a crazy time. And in order to navigate it, we need to be as healthy mentally and whole as we can be. And one way to do that is give yourself some grace, some patience, and just allow yourself to be present in the moment. And if you achieve whatever, great. If you don't, it does not mean you're a failure. This is a crazy time. And so just try to give yourself some grace and patience as we navigate this thing together.
Very good. I could think of one thing that I was really productive on is Netflix watching. I think I might have reached a world record. I didn't even have TV for 20 years. My daughter brought a TV, and the next thing you know, we're watching all these things we've never seen, shows and movies for years. And so we made up for lost time that way. And the other thing I always say, I learned to say, was I love my wildly imperfect, beautiful, authentic life.
Yeah.
Something about the perfection. You know, if you wait until you're perfect, you're not going to be able to serve other people that need to hear your message or whatever you do, your talents and your truth. Just be your best self today and know tomorrow we're going to get better.
That's it. Well said. Well said.
So let's see. Now you also help with leadership. And one of the things we're dealing with right now, I think globally, especially since we may be going back on some lockdowns, depending on where you live.
Yeah.
Is leading your home and leading your business at the same time. Or maybe you have a side business and you work for somebody else, and now you've got the kids home or elders are home because the facility was closed, which is happening as well.
Yep.
So what suggestions do you have for people that are now the leader of everything?
Wow. You know, that once again, that's one that's very loaded, very robust. I kind of want to let me tackle it in two ways. First off, for those who are leading, you know, who are leaders at work and they now find themselves in this crazy period of limbo, whatever you want to call it. I think it's important. One thing that COVID has done, I think, is it's been kind of a proofing stage or a proving ground for leaders, because look, I think it's tested the efficacy of our leadership, whether you're leading in person, whether you have remote staff and in-person staff, whether you're open fully, open partially, not at all. The fact is, COVID has really been a time for many leaders to realize whether or not what they're doing is actually leading or managing. And I think the difference is leadership is focused on people. Management is focused on product or process. Both are important, but right now, I think it's wholly important to focus more on the leadership aspect than the management aspect, because right now people need to know that those they work for care. They need to know that they're cared for, that they need to know that they're not just you know, expected to carry on like you know, drones or robotic producers. They need to know that those they report to, of course, still hold them accountable, but also care about their well-being and their mental health in this particular time that we're in. So that's first off for those who are leading at the office. For those who are leading at home, once again, I kind of go back to that word or what I said a few minutes ago about not putting too much pressure on yourself. You got to exercise a level of patience. You got to give yourself grace, give your household grace, because we have never experienced this before. And so it's different for everybody. It's difficult for everybody. And so I think the best way, though, to effectively lead is to share responsibility. I would consider myself the leader of my home, but I'm the co-leader. My wife is just as capable as I am, and she has just as much expectation as I do. And so I think it's a sad day or a sad household when the health of the household rises and falls on one person. That's too much pressure. That's too much pressure. It's unsustainable. And so right now in this time, if you are a leader of your home, find a way to share some of the burden. Let somebody else shoulder some of the burden. Instead of you doing every single thing, allow people to step up and help out. All right. Because if not, it's going to create resentment. It's going to create tension, strife unnecessarily. And once we do get out of this period, I think that irreparable damage will have been done simply because everything was rising and falling on one person. So share the burden if you're a leader at home, and if you're a leader at work, do your best to show your people that you lead, that you care about them, not just what they can do.
Yes, so true. And if you're a mom and dad out there, you may not have the other person. And in that situation, have conversations with your children, whoever's home, if it's elders you're caring for, and have the conversation. I mean, maybe you have to have the conversation with the puppy, and that one won't work. But whoever's home with you, have the conversation and talk about the priorities and what's going to keep the house going. And maybe if you're also working and you have to juggle things, it's going to have to be agreed upon that it's not going to be perfect. And you're going to have to decide what's the most important. It's like that 80-20 principle, and do your best. In fact, how many people are visiting your house anyway? So it doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody's coming over anyway. It's a pandemic. And if they don't love you, they don't get to go into your house. At least that's my rule. So you prioritize. And it's funny how when you talk, I have 6 children, 3 are mine, 3 I fostered to adopt. They're all mine. Wow. And so we've had these conversations. I have 2 home that are now doing college at home because the university closed. And they're back home for the first time in quite a few years. And we had a lot of talks about how are we going to do this now that we've got extra people. And then they wanted a puppy and a cat. So now I've got cat, dog, and kids. Wait, I was alone, and I love it. As mom, I love it, but there is extra work involved in all that. Absolutely. And so it is important. And if you have somebody you can trade with, that's also another way. I know that, like for us, we have a nice little neighborhood, and so we buy farm fresh vegetables and supplies. And if you buy it in bulk, you get a huge discount. It's all organic, healthy, and we split it between all the neighbors and we order together. And every month we get a shipment of all that, and it helps out. And so it's like those little things that make a big difference. Can you go shopping if your neighbor can't? I mean, right now we have grocery delivery, but in some places you can't get that. So see what you can do to see if you can help a neighbor, and maybe they can help out with taking your trash out or doing something else because you're working long hours and you're not home and you're exhausted. See what you can trade. That'll make a big difference. Yes.
Great advice.
Yeah. So I'd love to maybe have you share something from one of your favorite of all those books. I know I liked the relation tips, so maybe that one, or maybe whichever one's your favorite. A couple of tips for the audience from one of your favorite books.
Yeah, that's it's funny. Whenever somebody refers to, what's my favorite, or ask me what's my favorite, I immediately say that's like asking me which of my children I love the most.
Yes.
It's super difficult. There's no such thing as loving one more than the other. But I will say that I think relation tips, just because it's just something about love that we need it. We are communal beings, and so relationships are vital. And so I think I tend to get the most questions about relation tips. So I'd for sure be more than happy to share a tip or two out of there. One of the tips, one of my favorite tips that I share in the book is talking about how so many people make the mistake when they're single, or even when they finally do find somebody, but they make the mistake of feeling as if this person should or will complete them. And that's just not true. I always say, instead of looking for someone to complete you, look for someone to complement you. Compliment with an E, not an I. And the example I use is peanut butter and jelly. So if you think about it, peanut butter by itself is usable. It's good. You can put it on crackers, on an apple, on bread, whatever the case is. Jelly by itself, it's great. It's useful. You can put it on toast. You can put it on a biscuit. You can do, multiple things with it. When you bring them together, it's magic. Yeah. Right? Peanut butter and jelly is almost unparalleled. And so that's what it's like to bring your peanut butter and their jelly together. You make magic. But here's the thing. If the two never met, peanut butter is still great. Jelly is still great. And when they find each other, all it does is exponentially increases what it does, or the flavor, so to speak. But if peanut butter never found jelly, it wouldn't be incomplete. If jelly never found peanut butter, it wouldn't be incomplete. And so that's the thing when it comes to finding someone or giving our heart to someone. We need to make sure that we understand, first off, we're already complete as we are. Period. If somebody else comes along, all that means is all they're doing is enhancing our flavor, because we already taste wonderful on our own. But now when we add somebody else to the mix, we are a dynamic duo. We're magic, whatever you want to call it. But if you never find that significant other, if you never find that soulmate, or if you never find that person, you're not incomplete. You're not incomplete. You are fully complete as you are. And all somebody else can do is come along and enhance your greatness.
I think that one of the things that I hear a lot from people regarding relationships is they want to find someone to, like you said, complete them or bring them happiness.
Yep.
I'm telling you, I wouldn't want to make anybody happy 24 hours a day. That is not the job that I want to sign up for. So that is not very attractive. I mean, it's
not at all.
And so you think about when you're able to be happy now, when you're able to have gratitude for the present moment and be your best self, like you said, peanut butter or jelly, it's like, who are you being and all you're doing? When you show up as you, not somebody else, like take the mask off of who you're pretending to be. When you go on a date and you're like, yes, oh yeah, I love hiking.
Yeah.
That's right. And the reality is that's something you'll never do.
Right.
That's not your person. So be really honest and authentic, because that's when you're going to attract the person that's going to most align with who you are. And then you complement each other and you're already happy. And that's what attracts them, is you're being you, your essence, your truth, and your happiness already. And they're like, wow, I want more of that. I love spending time with that person. We have fun. It's not I'm responsible for making them happy.
Right.
We just have more fun together.
Right. Yep. That's it.
Yes.
That's the key. That's the key.
Very good. Yeah, I love that. So we are getting to the end of our conversation. We have just a couple more minutes. So I'd love for you to share about how you're working with corporations and leadership.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I love everything that I do. I do it out of passion and purpose, and so I love it. Some of the best work that I really just kind of, I guess, get up for is the corporate work, because I'm able to go into a setting and an event, an organization, and just really come in as a neutral party, as an unbiased, I guess, contributor, and just really peel back layers and really get into the inner workings of an organization, see what the interpersonal relationships and dynamics are, and really, again, be able to come in and help for those who may be kind of, I guess, for those organizations that are a little bit more fractured. I'm able to come in and, again, as an unbiased third party, come in and kind of start helping to mend some fences and put things back together again for them. And it can't be said that I'm here on behalf of one particular person or one particular faction, because I don't have a dog in the fight. I guess my purpose, or my dog in the fight, quote unquote, is seeing the organization be whole and be healthy, or the team be whole and be healthy. And so love coming in and doing that. whether it's specifically about team building. I've got a presentation I do, a workshop that I lead titled "Your Piece is Important," talking about how in the big scheme of the puzzle, every piece has to be, I guess, in its particular place in order for the puzzle to be complete. A 100-piece puzzle with 99 pieces is not complete, no matter how it looks. So I love doing that. I have another one that I do called "One Size Fits Some," as opposed to "One Size Fits All," because leadership has to be personal. Leadership is nuanced. And to think that you can paint everybody with a broad brush is a sign of laziness and ineffectiveness. And so I'm able to really tackle some hard-hitting issues there. So the work that I do with corporations and organizations, I'm no holds barred. I go in, and the way I kind of phrase it is, I give them medicine, but it's mixed with Sprite. Where it's mixed with some kind of flavoring, so that medicine by itself can be hard to take, and so I try to make it as palatable as possible, while not losing the effectiveness of it. So I love the work that I do with those corporations and organizations, and I look forward to doing a lot more moving forward.
Yes, I love that. So whether you're home with a team now or still going to work, I think this year more than ever, getting help with leadership is going to make all the difference, because think about it. We spend probably more hours at work than at home.
Absolutely.
Other than sleeping.
Absolutely. We do. I say that all the time. Yep.
We're doing everything else. When we get home, we got the home work to do, cleaning, right, whatever you got to do at home. Then you finally get to talk to your family, and then it's time to go to sleep.
Time to go to sleep. You're right.
So it's really important to have a good environment. It's going to enhance productivity. Your clients will feel it. Makes all the difference. It really does. Yes. So I'd love for you to share how people can connect with you, get your books and programs.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you again for the opportunity. It's been a great conversation. I'm loving what you do. I love the book title, and I look forward to staying connected with you moving forward. But anybody can reach me. I'm very accessible. Website is www.anthonyd as in David, dsparks.com, anthonydsparks.com. And social media, the same thing, Anthony D. Sparks. And you can reach out to me via any of those mediums. You can get my books from the website. You can inquire about speaking or coaching or anything from the website as well. But again, I'm super accessible. I don't have tons of middlemen to get through to get to me. It's typically directly to me. I just love, kind of, as they say, pressing the flesh and talking to people. So anthonydsparks.com is the best way.
All right. Thank you again for being a guest on the show. And for those listening in, stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right. If you are just tuning in, welcome back. This is the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you rebuild, reinvent, and reboot your business or personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and we are here today on NBC's KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. Now, with that, I would like to thank again Coach Cardan for being a special guest today, all the way from Dubai. That was incredible. And I'd also like to share, based on our topic with leadership, I'd like to share how you can redesign your life. So here is a brief portion of one of my chapters on lifestyle redesign in my new book, bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. So take a listen to Lifestyle Redesign. Chapter 11, Lifestyle Design. This chapter is going to look a little different than the other chapters. Instead of starting out with a rock bottom moment and ending with that person's moment of empowerment, we are going to compare the lives of two women. The life of Anne. Anne was very athletic growing up. As a young adult, she was active and healthy and loved to exercise. She helped rescue animals, volunteering at the local shelter to share her love with those animals. Then, she got married and had kids. Anne gave up a lot of her passions and the things that made her happy in order to please everybody else. Her husband is allergic to animal dander, so she couldn't have pets at home, and she gradually stopped going to the shelter too. She didn't stay as active as she'd been when she was single. She said yes to all her friends, doing anything they asked her to. She cared for a lot of people, but she didn't set boundaries. Anne's days were long and busy, full, but not fulfilling. Anne had a vision of how she wanted her life to look, but she woke up one day and realized that she was living a very different life. Eventually, Anne's health failed. She developed many health issues because she had stopped eating healthy foods, exercising, and taking time to rest her mind. She spent a lot of money on health care instead of spending time staying healthy. When she really needed people to help her, she didn't know how to ask. Some of her friends had more boundaries than Anne, so they said no to her requests, even though in the past she had helped them move or with accounting or babysitting. People weren't willing to give as much as she had, so she was at a loss. And with some of the people in her life who did want to reciprocate, Anne wasn't able to be vulnerable or gracious enough to receive. Anne is at the point of retiring from a job she doesn't love, and she's physically and financially unable to keep up with her friends and family. She sees her friends doing work they're passionate about and talented at, and it affects her self-worth when she compares her life to theirs. She feels stuck, upset, and resentful, and she's angry with herself for letting life slip by. Anne thought she was doing the right things. She was a good student, a good daughter and sibling, the one who didn't need so much attention. She was taught to put everybody else first, and she's done an amazing job of teaching everybody else to treat her like a doormat. She never filled up her own self, and now she has a very painful void in her life. The life of Barbara. Barbara has designed her life and lives it by her design. She has still done things for other people, but she follows her own definition of happiness and success. Interesting things happened in her childhood, but at some point, she decided that she was going to live life on her terms. Barbara made a lot of mistakes. She tried to live her passion 3 or 4 different times in different ways. It didn't work out at first, but she was determined. At first, she wasn't even sure what that looked like, but she knew it would involve art, dance, and educating children. As it unfolded, she started teaching children to read and created a story time program. Looking back, she laughs about her ups and downs. The determination to live her life and work around her passion and her gifts was considered non-traditional, so she experienced some bumps that made her strong and resilient. Barbara kept solid rituals, routines, and boundaries in place. She eats healthy foods and takes care of herself so she can help other people too. She made her self-care a priority, knowing that she was modeling that for her children. Barbara and Anne are the same age, but Barbara looks much younger because she's healthier and happier. She wakes up in the morning and is excited to go to work. When Barbara looks back at her life so far, she's at peace. She knows she's done her highest good. No part of her feels that she wasted time on things that didn't align with her values. She lives exactly the life she was supposed to, the life she chooses. And she's excited for whatever comes next. You only get one. Anne has lived her whole life based on what other people wanted, whereas Barbara has lived life for herself. And it's still full of love and other people. Which life would you choose? Maybe you choose a little of each. These are extreme examples, so maybe you choose neither. The point is that it's your life and you get to choose what it looks like. Anne didn't choose to design her own life, but it's not
too late. It's not over for her. It doesn't matter what your age is. Until you're not here anymore, you can still make a change. The rest of your life can become the best part of your life. All the decisions you make have an impact on your future, on your whole life. They build upon each other. If you don't decide how you're going to live your life, somebody else is going to decide for you, and most people are happy to do that. They're happy to sell you the wrong house so they can make a commission. They're happy to put you in a job you don't like for less pay so you do all the work. But if you're not happy, it's not a blessing. I'm not a Christian Scientist, but Mary Baker Eddy, the founder of Christian Science movement, said, "Whatever blesses one, blesses all." If you're not happy, or if you're not living your essence, your truth, your life, it's hard for you to send happiness to other people in your life. But when you are happy and using your talents and gifts, there's no competition. There's no ego. You're just connected to everything and everybody in love, and it's beautiful. Everyone has that beauty in them, in the way they're here and who they are. We're all amazing, talented, beautiful, incredible people in our own right. When we try to shift and fit into a mold of who we believe we're supposed to be, the adult who never plays, who goes to work and takes on debt to buy a house, it kills our souls. Every day we lose sight of who we really are. How can you be happy when the most important parts of you are hidden or quieted because you followed somebody else's rules? How many people have felt like they had to go to school to become a doctor or a lawyer just because their parents wanted them to? And they're miserable. If they were living their truth, they would be happy, and that's worth even more than money. That allows them to attract the right peer group and a partner who's aligned with their truth. It may sound obvious, but when you're not living your truth, you're living a lie. When that's the case, you may say that you want something, but it doesn't align with you because it's not real. And you can't fake a life and a lie for long. The real you, the beautiful, amazing essence of you, is going to escape every time. Free your soul. It's time to free your soul. Start by figuring out your temperament, talents, and what you really love. You can refer back to the REBOOT activity in Chapter 6 to get started. There are surveys and tests you can take, but you have to be honest with your answers, so honest it may even hurt other people's feelings. Like the parents who always dreamed of you becoming a doctor while you wanted to be a cruise ship comedian. Doing this will free your soul to go be who you're really supposed to be. All right, you are tuning in to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. So now I would like to share a Dear Sheila. This is a fun Dear Sheila someone sent in. If you have a question and you'd like to have it shared on the air and answered, you can send that in to www.dearsheila.com, and I'm always happy to answer. Okay, take a listen. Here we go. Welcome to Dear Sheila, answering real questions with real solutions to help reboot your life. My career got taken out. How do I reinvent my work life? Dear Sheila, after dedicating my time and life to a company this year, after 22 years, my employer went out of business. Now I'm struggling to start over again, reinvent my life, and figure out how to step into a similar career. I'm very qualified yet close to retirement age, and it seems impossible to find any wage that matches my experience. My question is, what can I do at the age of 53 to restart in the work world while not burning out? Signed, Jobless at 50-something. Dear Jobless at 50-something. This is definitely the time for rebooting and reinventing your career and life on your terms. Often in the case of having to start over in a career, some reinvention is necessary. With your experience and connections in the field, you can use this time as an opportunity to design your work and life. Let's run this situation through the REBOOTS formula. Throughout life, one can find themselves facing a difficult situation that often catches them by surprise. Over the years, I saw the patterns in all the times I've had to reboot, and in how I've helped my friends and clients get through a hard time and quickly back into action. Ultimately, I came up with the REBOOTS formula. The B in the REBOOTS formula is for being. It is about who you are being and all you are doing and who you need to be in this situation. You are going to have to be authentic and creative with how you design your new work life. At this point in your career, you may be the exact person to advise and help a new business get started. Write out a perfect day at your new dream job. What would that day look like? Would you be an advisor in a similar position or an entrepreneur? Who are you being in this vision? Being honest about who you must be in your search is key. The O in the REBOOTS formula is for orientation. To get the outcomes you desire, you must be honest here. It is not better than it is, nor is it worse than it is. It simply is what it is. Make a list of your resources. Who do you know in the industry, similar industries, and what are your former coworkers doing? Again, be really honest about your outcomes, the outcomes you want. The next O in the REBOOTS formula is for order of operations. Now that you know who you need to be and your orientation, you can decide in which order you must do things. You may need to take on part-time work. Be okay with that and proud of yourself for moving forward. If you do take an in-between position, do not stop applying to the dream job. In the long run, the order in which you do things is going to really drive your results. The T in the REBOOTS formula is for thinking. This is where your mindset comes in. Stop waiting for the perfect new position to show up before you're happier. Choose to live in a grateful and happy state now and in each step in this process. When you go in for interviews or build your own company, your new employer or client will feel your energy. Be so proud of yourself for stepping up and designing your new work life. You will find as you choose your happiness now and express your truth and essence, the position that you are seeking will find you. The S in the REBOOTS formula is for stepping up. This is the part that puts all the other pieces you have planned into place and gets you and your work life back into action. The time is now for us to collectively work together to rebuild this year. My hope is that this video series and my new book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, helps. In my book and on my website, I provide plenty of free resources for anyone dealing with a rock-bottom situation to reinvent and reboot their business and personal life. If you have a question for Dear Sheila, message me. Welcome to Dear Sheila, answering real questions with real solutions to help reboot your life. When is it time to buy a new home and live the life I want? I'm sick of settling. Dear Sheila, I have been moving from rental home to apartment to rental home for about 5 years. Now with COVID, I'm having lots of trouble with my current landlord who comes into my place a few times a week and has removed most of my sense of privacy. The pool and activity room are closed, the gym is shut down, yet my rent remains the same. I feel like I'm stuck. I really want to just buy a house and get out of renting. I found a home that someone is willing to sell at an inflated price, and it really doesn't meet what I'm looking for long term. But the owner is offering to carry the loan, and I just want to get out of the terrible rental situation I'm in. The current landlord said they will be willing to let me out of the lease early for a small fee. My question is, should I move out, buy that high-cost house, or stay where I'm miserable? Signed, Homesick. Dear Homesick, this is definitely the year for rebooting and reinventing how we create and invest in our living spaces. Many people have shown up differently during our worldwide crisis. Sometimes emotions have been exaggerated due to financial or outside stress, and this year has brought much more of that into our home life. Continuing to stay stuck in an unhealthy rental situation is not the answer, and overpaying for a home you don't love isn't either. There is a solution to every problem. It sounds like finding your happy place for now will serve you and your family financially and in the long run. Because your landlord is willing to let you out of the lease, now is the time to reinvent your home life. Let's run this situation through the Boots formula. The B in Boots is for being. It is about who you are being in all you are doing and who you need to be during this situation. You are going to have to be really honest about how you and your family choose to invest in the best living space for the short term and the long term. The first O in Boots is for orientation. In order to get the outcomes you desire, you must be brutally honest here. What are your current living expenses? What new homes are available in your price range, and what living space will best serve you and your family? The outcome is happiness now, without getting into a home that is overpriced. If you shop around, you may find that you can rent or buy something that fits better for the short term and save for the outcome or the home purchase that you really want in the long run. The next O in the Boots formula is for order of operations. Now that you know who you need to be and your orientation, you can decide in which order you must do things to move out, find a new living space, and give yourself the peace you seek now while you take the necessary steps to build your credit or just take time that you might need to purchase your dream home without the emotion and rush of just getting out of a bad arrangement. In the long run, the order in which you do things is going to really drive your results. The T in the Boots formula is for thinking. This is where your mindset comes in. Stop waiting for the perfect home and decide on a home that honors your current family needs. The reality is that in a few years' time, your children will go off to college and your home buying requirements may change. Even though you may continue to rent in the short term, moving to a home that serves your present needs instead of overpaying or staying where you are will make all the difference. The S in the Boots formula is for stepping up. This is the part that puts all of the other pieces you have planned into place and gets you and your home life back into action. The time is now for us to collectively work together to rebuild this year. My hope is that this video series and my new book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, helps. In my book and on my website, I provide plenty of free resources for anyone dealing with a rock-bottom situation to help them reinvent and reboot their business and personal life. If you have a question for Dear Sheila, message me at www.dearsheila.com. As always, I wish you life, love, laughter, and light. Dear Sheila, I'm a single lady in my early 50s. I never thought I would be at this season in my life and not be married or in a committed relationship. I have had failed relationships where I keep dating the same type of man over and over again. So, I decided to take time to redefine myself and rediscover who I am. I'm not lonely. I really enjoy my own company. I have recently decided that I'm ready to date again. I'm finding it to be very challenging to connect to a man that I may be interested in because I am afraid of getting hurt. I find that I rely on my quick wit and a huge sense of humor to keep me emotionally safe and at arm's length. I don't want to allow myself to be taken advantage of, but I often have struggled in the past with setting boundaries. I'm a strong lady that works with horses while living in the country western lifestyle. I believe that my personality may be perceived as somewhat intimidating, even though I have strong feminine qualities. The men I have dated in the past often have wanted to get serious very quickly, without investing time for us to get to know each other, treating the process like a runaway horse. I want to protect myself and be emotionally safe. How can I be vulnerable with the people I am dating, yet establish boundaries while getting to know a possible love interest? Signed, Taking the Reins on a Relationship. Dear Taking the Reins, every relationship is unique, and just because you've had past relationships that may not have aligned with who you are, you've also changed over time. It seems like you've done a lot of self-work, and now you're ready to get back into a new relationship. The most important relationship you'll ever have is with yourself. So once you're strong and ready to meet new people, that's a good place to start. When you go back out and start meeting new people, start with the mindset that not everybody's going to be the same, like I said before, and that there are good, amazing, incredible people out there. So when you're thinking all these people are going to already ask for certain things or expect certain things, that's what you're going to start attracting. So start putting out the intention of, I'm looking for people that are looking for what I'm looking for. So think about all the things that you do and all your interests and commonalities, and look for people in various areas, because you don't have to do everything together in life. And when you're looking for a relationship, the main thing that you want to find is something where you can have a you, a me, and a we in a relationship. An interdependent, healthy relationship is where you can both come to the table and talk about your truth. So instead of wasting time going to dates trying to please the other person or give them whatever they want, come to the table and be honest about what you're looking for, so you don't waste time, and look for people that are honestly looking for what you're seeking. And that's going to save a lot of time. I've talked to a lot of newly married couples, and that's what they did on their first relationships, is they actually talked. They didn't pretend, they didn't dress differently or act differently for the other person. And that's what attracted them to each other, is they were just being real. And sometimes that was the part that they fell in love with. And so if you're staying real and being authentic in beautiful, authentic you and who you are, that's going to attract the person that's most aligned. So just doing your life, living on purpose, you're going to find and attract the people, whether it's your significant other, your best friend, whoever it is, in whatever kind of relationship that belongs in your world, just by being your best self every day. I hope that helps. As always, I wish you life, love, laughter, and light.
And now I have some homework for you. I would love for you to grab a copy of my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, The Formula to Go from Rock Bottom Back into Action in Any Situation. It is now available on Audible, as well as on Amazon and Kindle, and at www.sheilamac.com. I will be donating a book or course. If you look online, you'll see the courses I offer as well, to women's shelters across the United States and Canada whenever a course or book is purchased. So check it out, and I look forward to sharing more with you next time. As always, I wish you life, love, laughter, and light.